Hurricane trackers warn 12 of new storm threat as experts fear worst flash flood year ever. A new Gulf Coast storm this week poses a threat to nearly 12 million Americans in its potential path, according to hurricane trackers on high alert. Wednesday morning, the National Hurricane Center issued an urgent warning, stating that the brewing storm system now has a 10% chance of developing into a tropical cyclone, bringing dangerous weather to coastal cities from Florida to Texas. Between Wednesday and Friday, the storm is likely to bring heavy rain, urban flooding, rough surf, and rip currents, according to warnings from authorities. From the Carolinas, thunderstorms are expected to move through Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico, affecting Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, and Texas. AccuWeather has predicted a few inches of rain across the northern Gulf Coast, with Jacksonville, Florida's Interstate 10 corridor potentially receiving more than 6 inches of rain in a few hours over the weekend. The warning comes just a few weeks after massive flash flooding destroyed the Texas Hill Country, claiming the lives of at least 135 people, including dozens of children attending a summer camp. AccuWeather chief meteorologist John Porter has predicted that 2025 may be the worst flash flood year in modern U.S. history due to hundreds of other floods across the country. Porter disclosed, "We've already seen a 75% jump in flash flood reports compared to the 10-year average, and we're only in July." At least 184 people have died in the United States due to flash floods this year. So far this year, flash floods have killed at least 184 people across the U.S., with major storms hitting Texas, North Carolina, New Mexico, Illinois, and multiple states in the Northeast. Storms swept from the Midwest to the Mid-Atlantic, causing nearly 200 flash floods to be reported during the weekend alone. At least one person died after a creek in Overland Park, Kansas, rapidly overflowed and swept through a running trail. 6 people died in Chapel Hill during a 1-in-1,000-year rainfall event caused by additional floods in North Carolina. New Mexico, Illinois, and the Northeast each experienced extreme flash flooding as well, with multiple records broken and more than 100 flash flood warnings issued on July 14. A series of storms earlier this month dumped more than 4 inches of rain on parts of Staten Island, Brooklyn, and the Bronx, causing rare and extreme flooding in New York. The downpour resulted in the city experiencing its second heaviest ever hourly rainfall, flooding subways, closing streets, and overwhelming the drainage system. After their car was washed away by floodwaters in New Jersey, at least 2 people died. In 2025, officials have reported over 4,800 flash floods, and experts warn that the worst may still be to come. AccuWeather's tropical storm monitoring team believes that this week's storm could follow a similar path. They also stated that these floods are no longer just random events. Storms are being intensified by a warmer atmosphere and more moisture in the air. And city by city, we're seeing the cost, Porter emphasized. Americans living in flood-prone areas are being urged by officials to remain vigilant. The chances of flash flooding are expected to rise throughout the Gulf states, particularly in urban and low-lying areas, as storms and showers are expected to intensify into the weekend. If this system develops, it'll likely follow a track similar to the rainstorm that hit last week. That means some of the same areas may face flooding all over again, AccuWeather warned. Residents of the coast and boaters are being advised to prepare for a violent rip current and a sudden storm that could bring downpours and even brief tornadoes. Experts say the weather could change rapidly along the coast, especially with thunderstorms forming directly over warm Gulf waters. The conditions are being driven by a rare mix of extreme heat, trapped tropical moisture from a stronger-than-usual Bermuda high, and storm systems sweeping down from Canada. Brett Anderson, senior meteorologist at AccuWeather, said this storm system pattern is hitting more land than usual. He went on to say, "We're seeing extreme rainfall across the entire U.S., not just the usual trouble spots." Find out more exclusive. Iconic sinking city, home to over 300,000 Americans, faces terrifying new threat. Article picture the amount of water vapor in the air is one important factor. AccuWeather researchers examined data for 30 years and discovered that the amount of moisture in the air has steadily increased each summer. This indicates that storms now carry more water and unleash more of it more quickly when they occur. AccuWeather's senior forecasting director Dan DePodwin explained that drought has made the soil in places like Texas and New Mexico behave like concrete. When rain hits that ground, it can't soak in, it just runs off into rivers and streams and floods everything in its path, DePodwin said. According to an AccuWeather report, 6 major weather events so far this year have caused a total economic loss of between $375 billion and $421 billion across the United States. This hurricane season, the increasing frequency and severity of these events are expected to get worse, making it harder for homeowners in flood and hurricane-prone areas to find affordable insurance.